it crisscross applesauce? Hey, Caden. Sit down. For me, please. Plop it. Plop it. Everybody have a seat. Sit crisscross applesauce. Spoons in the bowl. Thank you. Good afternoon. Welcome. I'm so happy that you are all here. I am using this microphone because I am losing my voice. I am not ill, by the way. I am not ill, but I am losing my voice just from overuse. Thank you so much for joining us today. We have had a very fun week full of all kinds of craziness, haven't we, guys? We're inside, we're outside, we're wearing masks, we're not wearing masks, whatever, right? It's been crazy, but we're so ready to share our plays with you today. We're going to do that in just a moment. For those of you whom I have not met, I am Joanie and I've actually been teaching this camp here at Salford Park. This is my 16th year doing this, but we've been doing, I used to do it with Boulder's Dinner Theater Academy, and then about 3 years ago I bought the company myself, so now it's Miss Joanie Drama. This is my favorite thing I do all year long. I spend my evenings typically performing on stage. That's been a little sketchy during COVID, but this is my favorite thing I do all year long. I love working with the kids. We have such a great time. The way we do our camps here is called play making, and that is exactly what it sounds like. Each week we have a different theme, and the kids, we read lots and lots of books during that week. This week was Dr. Seuss week, and boy did we read Dr. Seuss books, didn't we, guys? Yeah, a lot of them. And then the kids get to choose which shows or which books they want to make into a play. Now, okay, sit down right now, and we'll get one. You don't need one right now because we're outside. Oh, just put it on your wrist, okay? Or give it to Miss G. Each week we decide which books we're going to make into plays. And when we take a book and we turn it into a play, and it's kind of the same but a little bit different, it's called what? Say it nice and loud. Yeah, an adaptation. So we have 3 adaptations to share with you today, 3 short plays. We have had to scramble today and shift some people around into different roles, and we're very grateful for the understudies that have stepped right up. So, Tessa, would you do me a favor? Take off your baseball cap so we can see your beautiful face. Can you hand that to Mama? Or I will? Here we go. There you go. All right. All right. Is everybody ready?
Yes.
My actors are ready. My audience is ready. Let's present our adaptation of Yertle the Turtle. Very good. On the faraway island of Salamasond, Yertle the Turtle was
King of the pond.
It was a nice little pond. It was clean. It was neat. The water was warm. There was plenty to eat. The turtles had everything turtles might need, and they were all happy.
Happy indeed.
Yep. They were until Yertle, the king of them all, decided the kingdom he ruled was
Too small.
He was the ruler of all he could see, but he didn't see enough.
That's the trouble with me.
Good job. With a stone for a throne, he looked down on his pond, but he couldn't look down on the places beyond. The throne that he sat on was too low down.
It ought to be higher.
He said with a frown. If he could sit high, how much greater he'd be. Why, he'd be the ruler of all he could see. So, Yertle the Turtle King lifted his hand, and Yertle the Turtle King gave a command. He ordered some turtles.
Swim to my stone.
Really loud.
Swim to my stone.
That time they heard ya. And using those turtles, he built a new throne. He made each turtle stand on another one's back. And he piled them all up in a big turtle stack. Then Yertle climbed up. He king of a mule, he was king of a house, and what's more beyond that, he was king of a blueberry bush and a cat. Oh, Yertle the turtle, oh marvelous he!
I am the ruler of all I can see.
Good. And all through that morning, he sat there up high, shouting over and over,
What a good king am I.
until long about noon, when he heard a loud sigh.
What's that?
Snapped the king as he looked down the stack, and he saw at the bottom a small turtle named
Mac.
just a part of his throne, and that plain little turtle looked up and he said,
Excuse me, king. You're not.
He had pains in his back and in his shoulders and knees. How long? How long must we stand here?
How long must we stand here?
Your Majesty, please.
Your Majesty, please.
Good job.
Silence.
The king of the turtles yelled back. He said,
I am the king. You are just that.
Oh, he yelled, he bellowed, he brayed. The turtles way down in the pond were afraid. They trembled, they shook, but they all obeyed. And one after the other had climbed up the stack, and one after the other they stepped on the head of poor Mac. Then Yertle was perched up so high he could see 40 miles from his throne in the sky.
Hooray.
Shouted Yertle. He was king of the trees. He was king of the birds and king of the beasts. He was king of the butterflies, king of the air. Oh, what a throne, what a...
Wonderful chair.
Oh, Yertle the turtle, so marvelous he.
For I am the ruler of all I see.
Good. Then again from below in the great heavy stack came a groan
Brown.
from that plain little turtle named...
Mac.
He said, Your Majesty,
Your Majesty, please.
I don't...
I don't like to complain. But down here below, we're feeling great pain. We know up above you are seeing great sights. We know up above you are seeing great sights. But down here below, we too should have rights. We turtles can't stand it. Our shells will all crack. But Dad, we need food. We're starving.
groaned Mac.
Silence!
Howled the mighty King Yertle. They have no right to talk to the world's highest turtle. He ruled over clouds, over land, over sea.
There's nothing,
No,
nothing that's higher than me.
but as he was shouting, he saw with surprise that the moon of the evening was starting to rise up over his head in the darkening skies.
What's that?
Snorted Yertle. What was that thing that dared to be higher than Yertle the king? But as Yertle the Turtle King lifted his hand and started to order and give another command, that plain little turtle below in the stack, the plain little turtle whose name was just Mac, decided he'd taken enough, and he had. And that plain little turtle got a little bit mad. Then, that plain little Mac did a plain little thing. Burp! He burped. And his burp shook the throne of the king. And Yertle the turtle, the king of the trees, the king of the air and the birds and the bees, the king of a house and a cow and a mule, well, that was the end of the Turtle King's rule. For Yertle the king of all Salamasand fell off his high throne with a splash in the pond. And today that great Yertle, that marvelous he, is
King of the mud. That's all I can see.
and of course all the turtles, now the turtles are free.
Yippee!
As turtles and maybe all creatures should be.
Woo!
we go any further, I want to give a quick round of applause to Miss Tessa, who is stepping not only today for someone that wasn't here, but she stepped in as King Yodel. So, great job. Now, in the theater, we always have critics, and there is no exception here. But instead of critiquing one another's work, what we like to do is share encouragements and favorites.
It's a
So
fire.
does anybody have a favorite part of Little Turtles? I love the splash part too. Turtle had it coming, didn't he? What was your favorite part of it?
Yeah, I have one. I'm out.
You liked it before when they were all happy indeed. Good. Maki, what was your favorite part?
Yeah.
You like the stack of turtles? They look pretty cute, don't they? Awesome. All right.
Like they were sitting on their
What?
like they were sitting on their chairs.
They looked like they were sitting on chairs, but they weren't. They were all stacked up. Now, we talked also about how the audience is every bit as important to the actors on stage in a show. In a live theater show, we get to see our audience from on stage. When we go to the movies or watch television, the actors can't see their audience sitting in the movie theater or in their living rooms. So, we know that it's important to be good audience members. We talked about that this week. We also learned lots of different kinds of applause, and each group has chosen a special kind of applause to do. What did you guys choose? Oh, you chose sports applause. Now, parents, if you've ever been to a sporting event, you will catch on quickly. Just join in when you feel comfortable. We do it 3 times in a row, so you'll catch on. Are we ready for sports applause?
Yeah.
I need all my actors and all my turtles to show them how it's done. Here we go.
Good job! Good job! Good job!
Thank you. Next, I would like all of my little birdies to please stand and go to your spots backstage. And I would like all of my turtles to go sit where the birdies were. Right over here, Sweet Pea. Kaden, I need you. Come with me, little birdie. No, not baby, you're a birdie. A bird. Remember? Okay. All right.
My brother always goes and I stand on.
I know. It's okay. It's okay. They're all minor spots. Just a minute. All right. This is also in this book. Are you ready to sit down? Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, so this is one of my favorite books. When I was teaching, I used to teach drama and music K through 8, and this was one of my favorite stories to adapt. And I think it's the first time we've done it here, maybe the first or second time we've done it here at this camp. But we are excited to give it a try, and I would like you to help us welcome to the stage our adaptation of Dr. Seuss's Gertrude McFuzz. Find your X's. Luna, do you want to come join us? Do you want to come hold my hand? No? Okay. That's okay. Stage fright is real, and that is perfectly fine. We're going to be just fine. There once was a girl bird named Gertrude McFuzz, and she had the smallest plain tail ever was. One droopy droop feather was all that she had. And oh, that one feather made Gertrude so sad. For there was another young bird that she knew, a fancy young birdie. And
Instead of one feather, I have two.
oh, poor Gertrude. Whenever she happened to spy Miss Lallalulu flying by in the sky, she got very jealous. She frowned and she pouted. Then one day she got awfully mad and she shouted,
This just isn't fair. I have one, she has two. I must have a tail just like Lala Lulu.
So Gertrude flew to her doctor. Tie in a circle. Okay. She flew to her doctor, a doctor named Dake, whose office was high in a tree by the lake. And she cried,
Oh, doctor, please do you know some sort of way to make my tail grow?
the doctor said,
Tut tut, such talk. Help, sir. Your tail is just right for your kind of bird.
Then Gertrude had tantrums. Ooh, she raised such a din that finally her doctor said
Okay.
and gave in and told her just where she could find such a pill.
On the top of it, on a berry vine on the top of a hill. Oh, thank you, doctor. Thank you.
Took Gertrude McFuzz and she flew right straight to the hill where the pillberries grew. Yes, there was the vine. And as soon as she saw it, she plucked off the berry and started to gnaw it.
This taste is awful.
It almost made her sick, but she wanted that tail, so she swallowed it quick. Ooh. Yep, then she felt something happen. She felt a small twitch. Let him see it. As if she'd been tapped down behind by a switch, and Gertrude looked around and she cheered. It was true!
I have two, just like Lala Lulu.
Then she got an idea. She knew what to do.
I'll grow a tail prettier than Lala Lulu.
Those pills that grow feathers were working just fine. So she nibbled another one off of the vine. She felt a new twitch. She felt a new twitch. And Gertrude yelled,
Whee! This Lala Lulu has two, but I have two.
when Lala Lulu saw that beautiful stuff, she fell right flat down on her face sure enough. I'll show her.
I'll show her who's pretty. I definitely will.
Uh-huh. I'll make my tail
I'll make my tail prettier, even still.
good. She snatched at those berries that grew on the vine. She gobbled down.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
And she didn't stop eating young Gertrude McFuzz till she'd eaten 3 dozen. That's all.
That there was.
Then the feathers popped out. With a zang, with a zing. They blossomed like flowers that bloom in the spring. All fit for a queen. What a sight to behold.
They sparkled like diamonds, gumdrops, and gold.
Like silk, like spaghetti, like satin, like lace. Really loud.
They out like blockage all over the place. They slipped in the breeze.
And some were as long as the branches of trees. And still they kept growing. They popped and they popped till long in the evening they finally.
Stop.
And then Gertrude giggled. The next thing to do was to fly straight on home and show.
Lala Lulu.
She spread out her wings to take off from the ground. But with all of those feathers, she weighed 90 pounds. She yanked, she pulled, she let out a squawk.
Quack!
But the bird couldn't fly, couldn't run, couldn't walk. And all through that night, she was stuck on the hill. And Gertrude McFuzz might be stuck up there still if her good Dr. Dake hadn't heard the girl.
Yo! I rushed to her rescue and I brought along Cat.
You guys help her go to the exit. To lift up poor Gertrude almost broke all their beaks. And to fly her back home,
And to fly back home took almost 2 weeks.
and then it took almost another week more to pull out those feathers. My! had behind her.
Just one.
That one little feather she had as a starter. But now that's enough because Gertrude is smarter. The end. Wonderful. All right, now please have 3 encouragement or favorites. When Lala Lulu flies by. I have 2 fancy feathers. How about down here? Does anybody have a favorite down here? Emma. When Gertrude says squawk. I like that part too. Olivia. I know, that was pretty funny. Nay. When she had to get them plucked out. One more, Maddie.
I like it
When she was going, ow, 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 because she was getting all her feathers plucked out. Let me see if I can find my list. What kind of applause do we have for Gertrude? Woo! Opera applause. This is a very fancy kind of applause.
very fancy.
For any of you who've been to the opera, you know that's a fancy singing show, and oftentimes it's in another language. And our opera applause is in another language too. It's Italian and it's very fancy. So we'll show it to you once, and then you can join us the second time through. Is everybody ready to try it?
Yeah.
Okay, let's give them some opera applause. You guys can do it too. Here we go. Bravo! Bravissimo! Magnifico! Fantastico! So we start with bravo, bravissimo, magnifico, fantastico, and then 5 delicious spaghetti kisses. Shall we try it all together? Here we go. Bravo! Bravissimo! Magnifico! Fantastico! Awesome. Well done, birdies. If you are in the Grinch, please take your places backstage.
Lilo.
Have a seat, little birdies. Have a seat. That's on back there. Let me fix it so that we can see your cute ears. You know where you go?
Lilo. Skinny Masco.
Are you ready? On the other side. All right. We're not going to use it because it's falling apart. Shave and a haircut. Unfreeze. This one is one of my most favorites. This is probably my very most favorite Dr. Seuss book of all. I'm a fan of Christmas. This is a good one. We've got a lot of friends. It's fine. We're going to keep going. Whoops. Did you? Let's come back. I'll do this, but you're all ready to go. There we go. Okay. All righty. Audience, please help me welcome our adaptation of How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Every who down in Whoville liked Christmas a lot. But the Grinch who lived just north of Whoville
Did not.
The Grinch hated Christmas the whole Christmas season. Now, please don't ask why. I don't quite know the reason. It could be that his head wasn't screwed on just right.
It's
It could be
serious.
perhaps that his shoes were too tight. But I think the most likely reason of all may have been that his heart was
Two-sided. Too long. No, we didn't.
whatever the reason, his heart or his shoes He stood there on Christmas Eve,
hating the Who's.
staring down from his cave with a sour, grinchy frown at the warm lighted windows below in their town. For he knew every Who down in Whoville beneath was busy now, hanging a mistletoe wreath.
And they're hanging their stockings. And they're hanging their stockings.
He snarled with a sneer.
Tomorrow it's Christmas is practically here.
Then he growled with his Grinch fingers nervously drumming. I must find
a way to stop Christmas from coming.
For he knew tomorrow all the Who girls and boys would wake bright and early. They'd rush for their toys. Come on, George. And then, oh, the noise, oh, the
Noise!
Nobody should have a present. You should just be standing on a blue X. You're over here with Grinch. Come on over here, Max. Find a blue X. There's one over here. You can come over here by me. Bleep, bleep, bleep. Blop, blop. There we go. Awesome. That is one thing the Grinch hated. All the
Noise!
Then the Who's young and old would sit down to a feast. They'd feast and they'd feast and they'd
Feast!
They'd feast on Who pudding and rare Who roast beast, which was a feast the Grinch could not stand in the least. And then they'd do something he liked least of all. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, would stand close together with Christmas bells ringing. They'd stand side by side, and those Who's would start singing. They'd sing, and they'd sing, and they'd And the more the Grinch thought of this Who Christmas sing, the more the Grinch thought, I must
stop this whole thing.
Why, for 53 years he put up with it now. He had to stop Christmas from coming.
But how?
There we go. Then he got an idea. An awful idea. The Grinch got a wonderful, awful idea. He knew just what to do. The Grinch laughed in his throat. Then he made a quick Santa Claus hat and a coat. He chuckled and clucked.
This is not a great Grinchy trick. With this hat and this coat, I would look like Satan.
All he needed was a reindeer. The Grinch looked around. But since reindeer were scarce, there were none to be found. Did that stop the old Grinch? Oh no, the Grinch simply said.
If I can't find a reindeer, I'll make one instead.
So he called his dog Max.
Max.
And he got some thread, and he tied a big horn to the top of his head. Then the Grinch yelled,
Giddy-up.
and the sleigh started down toward the homes where the Who's lay a snooze in their town. All the windows were dark. Quiet snow filled the air. All the Who's were dreaming sweet dreams without care. When he came to the first little house on the square, it was stop number 1. The old Grinchy Claus hissed, and he climbed to the roof, empty bags in his fists. Then he slid down the chimney. It was a rather tight pinch, but if Santa could do it,
And so could the Grinch.
he got stuck only once, for a moment or two, but then he popped right out of the fireplace flue, where all the Who's stockings hung all in a row. He said,
These stockings are the first to go.
then he slithered and slunk with a smile most unpleasant around the whole room, and he, tell them, what
Look,
did
every present.
yeah. He slunk to the icebox. He took the Who's feast. He took the Who pudding. He took the roast beast. He cleaned out the icebox as quick as a flash. Why, that Grinch even took their last can of... Yeah. Then he stuffed it all up the chimney with glee, and then the Grinch said... The Grinch grabbed the tree, and as he started to shove, he heard the small sound like the coo of a dove. He looked around fast, and he saw a small who. It was little Sammy who was no more than 2. Sammy stared at the Grinch, and he said...
Oh, Santa Claus, why are you looking at Christmas tree?
But you know, that old Grinch was so smart and so slick, he thought up a lie, and he thought it up quick.
Oh, my sweet little dog.
Nice and loud.
Oh, my sweet little dog.
The fake Santa Claus lied.
There's a light on the tree that won't light up on the side. I'm taking it to my workshop. I'll fix it up there, then I'll bring it back here.
And his bib fooled the child, and he patted Sammy's head. He got him a drink, and he sent him to bed. And when little Sammy Who was in bed with his cup, the Grinch went to the chimney and stuffed the tree up. The last thing he took was the log for their fire. Then he went up the chimney himself, the old liar. And the one speck of food that was left in the house was a crumb that was even too small for a mouse.
Oh, come on! No fair!
Then he did the same thing to the other Who's houses, leaving crumbs much too small for the other Who's mouses.
You gotta be kidding me!
It was dawn. All the Who's still in bed. All the Who's still a snooze. When he packed up his sled, he hitched up Max, and 3,000 feet up the side of Mount Crumpet, he rode with his load to the tip top to dump it. Really loud. He was grinchishly humming. They were finding out now that no Christmas was coming. They were just waking up. He knew just what they'd do. Their mouths would hang open for a moment or two. Then all the Who's down in Whoville would all cry.
Boo-hoo.
That was a sound the Grinch simply had to hear. So he paused, and the Grinch put a hand to his ear, and he did hear a sound rising over the snow. It started in low, then it started to grow.
Doris, welcome Christmas, come this way. Down, Doris, welcome Christmas, Christmas Day.
But this sound didn't sound sad. Why, this sound sounded merry. It couldn't be so, but it
Was merry, very.
Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, had been singing without any presents at all.
You can't stop Christmas from coming. It came.
Yep, somehow or other, it came just the same. And the Grinch, with his Grinch feet ice cold in the snow, stood puzzling and puzzling.
How could it be so?
It came without ribbons. It came without tags. It came with...
Pocket. Package or bag.
He puzzled 3 hours till his puzzler was sore. Then the Grinch thought of something he hadn't before.
Maybe Christmas doesn't come from the store. Maybe it means a little bit more.
And what happened then? Well, in Whoville they say that the Grinch's small heart grew
3 sizes that day.
And the minute his heart didn't feel quite so tight, he rode with his load through the bright morning light. He brought back the food and the toys and the feast. And he himself, the Grinch,
Carved the roast beef. Doris, darling Doris, welcome Christmas, come this way.
Watch your feet. There's a lot of who's down in Whoville. Please take a bow, my friends. First, I need to know, did anybody have any favorites in this play? Tessa, did you? All right, who hasn't gone? Lydia, what was your favorite? You liked when the Grinch stole the presents? He was really sneaky. Mabel.
I like that they were singing.
I did too. I love the singing part. Awesome. This group has chosen a special kind of applause. It is called fireworks applause. We'll show you how to do it once and then you can join in the second time. Okay, ready? Here we go. We start down low. Here we go. All right, please feel free to join us. Here we go, fireworks. I do have to say before we go, I am very proud of this group. There was a lot going on this week.
I get treats. Twins.
Yeah, you're right. You are getting treats. Don't go away. Do not leave yet. They did such a good job. So, this week the kids got to choose the stories they wanted to adapt, choose the lines they wanted to say, pick out costumes to wear, and we also made a bunch of scenery that you didn't get to see. But we used our imaginations because that's what we do. We don't freak out, we just keep acting. Just keep acting. Just keep acting.
What do we do? We are.
If you would be so kind to indulge us, the kids know what they're supposed to do now. They are all going to follow Phoenix. Oh, first of all, I want to thank my staff. I had Gianna and Izzy and Mark and Phoenix with me this week, and it was so wonderful. I'm so grateful. So everybody's going to follow Phoenix inside. Take off your costumes and put them on stage. Get your backpacks and meet me at the front door. Do not leave without getting a treat from me. All right. And then, if you would all be so kind to help me, if you wouldn't mind helping me stack the chairs back up, we will send your kids out to the